Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because... Ah! No, not the fan drop. Ah! Another one. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Another one. The problem is, I'm trying to do too many stunts and shenanigans over here. And I have these bracelets on because I just got back from Cousin Fun Day. See, if I just do a single flip, this is like the triple axel of the Olympics, okay? If I just try to do a single flip, I can do it, okay? But if I try to do like a triple axel, I got it! Oh my God, I did it! I just did... Oh, look at that. The triple axel flip. Happy Pride Month. I just did it. I did it again. I basically went. Well, if I had caught it like this is like being, if you're an only child, you totally get this, okay? This is called being an only child. You invent games like this when you're a kid, okay? Because catching it like this is like the gold or the bronze. But if I had caught it like this, then that would have been the gold. Okay, that would have been the triple axel gold. Let's try it again, shall we? Okay, hold on. Oh, no, it's the bronze. What am I doing wrong? Hold on. Oh, that was the gold. If it had opened, that would have been the ultra gold platinum to infinity with mirrors. Oh my God. My friend and I, back in the day, we used to fight, my friend in high school, we used to fight about this. And she would say something and I would like, I love you. And she would say, I love you too. And I'd say, I love you to infinity. And she'd say, I love you to infinity with mirrors. And that means that infinity just bounces off of mirrors forever and ever and ever again. If I had caught that open like that, like... Oh my God, that would have been gold, platinum, titanium to infinity with mirrors. Oh, no, it's back to bronze. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? Oh, I didn't sing a song or anything, didn't I? I didn't even say I'm YouTube famous. Well, you should know by now I'm YouTube famous. I'm YouTube famous. Now I gotta try it again. Oh, silver, because that was pretty. Anyway, the album, Dad, Shimmy Shimmy. What should I sing today? It's raining men, hallelujah. I cannot tell you how many Pride days I've gone to and heard that song. Anyway, we are family, ba 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 ba. I got all my brothers and sisters with me, ba 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 ba. Happy Pride. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? In honor of Pride Day, I thought we would talk about Jeffree Star's transphobic remarks on TikTok. The man never seems to surprise me. Not one bit. Not one bit. I just got back from Cousin Fun Day today. I had so much fun with my cousin Caroline, preparing for her girls' trip next week to Michigan. It was really, really fun to help her pick out all the things at Costco that they're going to eat and all the floaties she wanted to take to her friend. They're going to float around on Lake Michigan and go to little boutiques and shop. It was so much fun for me to get out of the house for Cousin Fun Day. So if you don't know what Cousin Fun Day is, my cousin Caroline comes and picks me up every Wednesday. Hold on, I need to put my lip balm on. She comes and comes around and she picks me up. She comes around. She comes around. Isn't that a song? She comes around and she picks me up. 12:15 on the dot. Literally, I'm like sitting on the front porch. The painters are out there today. I look at my phone. It says 12:14 and she starts driving it. I'm like 12:15 on the dot every Wednesday. She picks me up and we run around and we do errands. We just laugh and tell stories and all that kind of stuff. And I just love her so much and I'm so grateful for that, you know? And anyway... Let it bake. So I didn't, and then tonight we're going over to my mother-in-law's house because my brother and sister-in-law are in town and we are meeting our new nephew for the very first time. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So we're going over there tonight. And so I thought I would get home later than I did, and I didn't plan on filming any videos today other than my vlog. And I just did a grocery store haul. Not linked, Not linked. It's all from Trader Joe's and Costco. Five Below. I bought some things to review. Where else did I go? Anyway, bought a bunch of stuff and did a grocery store. Every week I do a grocery store haul. They're like my favorite videos to do. I bought flowers today from 2 different places. I can buy myself flowers. So every week now I'm buying myself flowers and putting them around the house. It just makes everything look so pretty. You know what I mean? I can buy myself flowers. Okay, we got to try this again. I'm in the element. I think I got it this time. You know what? I wonder if I start flipping it from this. Oh my God, that was a mess of trouble. Okay, is what it was. Oh, I'm knocking lamps over, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of, oh my God, the cats just went running, but that was worth it, baby. That was worth it. That's better than the game the Pacers are going to win tonight. No, they are. 2 out of 3, baby. We're winning tonight. Oh, see, I called it. Pacers tonight, they're going to win by 2. If they do, then I am truly, and don't call me Truly Brown. To all my sister wives people out there, Truly Brown. I am truly not Truly Brown. And I'm definitely not Cody or Robin Brown, okay? But if they win tonight by 2, then I am truly the psychic of the world. Oh my God, 3 for 3. Has Aphrodite done that video? Who's going to win the NBA Finals? I think we should. I don't know shit about that, okay? When I used to do basketball in school, I had to do this kind of thing with the shooting the ball. Anyway, I've got this Instagram DM opened about these transphobic remarks from Jeffree Star that quite a few people actually sent to me. I was kind of surprised. And then this picture that Jeffree Star posted. So, like I said, I wasn't going to make any videos today other than my haul. Now, if this video doesn't go 50 minutes, which where are we at? 7 minutes on the dot. If this video doesn't go 50 minutes, then I'll probably turn around and do a review of these hot tater tots that I bought from the Five Below today. Never a dull moment in the life of Peter Monn. Oh, we're back to bronze. I got to get a gold. See, this is a part of the game. You make up the rules as you go. Oh, no, come on. I can buy myself flowers. And right as I caught it, the camera fell. Anyway, okay, let's get into this video today. Are you guys ready? I feel like I should try it one more time. I ended it on gold to infinity with mirrors, platinum, titanium. Anyway, okay, let's get into this video because I know that's what you guys are here for. I know you're not here for all the fan flipping shenanigans. Okay, but if you didn't know, it's Pride Month, okay? And Pride Month is important because well, I guess, I don't know why Pride Month is important to other people, but let me explain to you why Pride Month is important to me. And no, it's not because gay people get discounts at companies, because we don't. It's not like we walk into a restaurant and they go, oh, she gay, 30% off your meal. That doesn't happen, okay? It's not because companies come out of the woodwork and they want to say, oh, we love the gays this month. Now in July, we don't love the gays no more, but in June, for Pride Month, we love the gays, okay? We love the gays so much. The reason why Pride Month is so important to me, and it really has a lot to do, once you understand the history of being a LGBTQIA plus person, it really, you understand more about who you are as a person and what your journey looks like, And so just to share my coming out story a little bit with you, I had a very, very easy coming out story. My parents were super loving, super accepting of me, and most of my friends were as well. In fact, later my friends were all like, no surprise, but we thought maybe you were. Everybody was really supportive. My extended family, was really supportive. At my wedding, my dad walked me down the aisle. My mother-in-law walked my husband down the aisle. My aunt and uncle were there. In fact, when my husband and I went to sit with my Aunt Kathy, Caroline's mom, to talk about the wedding and things like that, I was kind of nervous to have the conversation with her, and she looked at me and she goes, Peter. That's how my Aunt Kathy talked. She said, Peter, she goes, do you think this is the first gay wedding that your Uncle Dave and I have ever been to? She goes, we have been to lots of gay weddings. And she said, and in fact, she goes, you're getting married at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. She said, we've been at gay weddings at the Ritz-Carlton, okay? So she was like, I've been to lots of gay weddings before. So anyway, I had a very easy coming out experience to my family. Saying the words to myself, something that I had known for quite many years at that time, saying the words to myself that I was gay. In retrospect, at 52 years old, I came out on my 18th birthday. And I know men today that come out in their 50s and women that come out in their 60s and people that identify in all spectrums across the board. I know people that begin their transitioning in their 50s, you know, that identify as trans, and people that identify I mean, it's a journey, right? Like our gender and our sexuality is a journey, and there's no, to me, there's no, you know, specifics around how that's supposed to work and what time it's supposed to work and when it's supposed to work. And I'm not a believer in forcing somebody out of the closet. I'm not a believer in, you know, outing somebody. I don't. And to me, that's a really huge turnoff, because I know how difficult it was for me. And I can remember even knowing that I had really loving family, that my mom had lots of friends that were gay, you know, to me, it was not something that I never once thought like they're going to disown me. Which I have had so many friends of mine that have literally, I mean, I have friends of mine that are doctors, okay, that came from small towns in small states where their families disowned them, okay? I mean, these were children that had really high educations and were really morally and ethically very good people, that their families disowned them for the simple fact of who they loved. And, you know, when you look at it that way, and that's the society puts that on you. When I came out, I can remember being terrified of even saying the words out loud that I'm gay. To say I'm gay was so hard for me. And I can remember being in high school and thinking, honestly, I mean, we didn't have any, you know, now you have pop singers and you have authors and there's lots of young adult, you know, own voices, LGBTQIA plus fiction out there. And there's lots of TV stars and movie stars that identify all across the spectrum. And we didn't have any of that when I was growing up at all. We didn't have any of it. I mean, I literally can remember when Ellen DeGeneres came out. And I'm so thankful that, you know, my mom talked to me when I was growing up about movies like the original Boys in the Band. And she talked to me about, you know, like during the AIDS crisis and the band played on. And she talked to me about, you know, books like Conundrum that was about trans experience. My mother, when I was in junior high, was talking to me about trans experiences, and not what we were seeing on Jerry Springer, but what was being read in literature and studies that were being done, and the love and acceptance of those people. And that was from a woman that was not her experience, but she wanted to learn about those things. She wanted to understand it. And so that was terrifying to me. And I can remember being in high school and being, you know, thinking to myself, I'm going to have to marry a woman and keep this part of myself a secret my whole entire life. And that's why I think I understand so many men and women that do that, because I really thought at that time and in that generation, that was one of my only options. And it was terrifying for me to come out. My dad and my stepmom were extremely accepting. I mean, my dad is a doctor. My dad believes 100% it was genetic, that I was born this way. It's just like my eyes being blue. He always has. He's always fought for my rights, as have my stepmother. My mother did too, as an activist her entire life. My mother was an absolute activist her entire life. And, you know, I remember telling my mom, and so back in the day, one of the things that we did, I'm sure a lot of gay men and lesbians out there probably relate to this, is that sometimes we would tell our families that we were bisexual first, which in retrospect, I look back on and I think is really kind of sad. I have so many friends of mine that are bisexual now, and I think that bisexual people are, and pansexual people and asexual people today, we didn't have those terms back then, but bisexual people are so misunderstood. Oh my God, the tripod fell again. Somebody's not wanting me to have this conversation. Happy Pride! But anyway, in retrospect, you know, it's kind of sad to me that that was kind of we thought it was easier to be bisexual and come out and say we were bisexual than it was to come out and say that we're gay. Because I think that that was what was perceived as easier to understand in our society, which is interesting in retrospect because I have so many friends of mine that are bisexual and their relationships are always sexualized. And so for me, which is done a lot to gay men, I mean, I think our relationships are very sexualized as well. And I think with lesbians too, I think that in any kind of sexuality that people don't understand, they want to immediately sexualize it. Because if we can sexualize it, if we can say, who's the pitcher and who's the catcher? I mean, as a grown adult, I can tell you I have had grown adult women coworkers look at me and say, so can I ask you a question? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so in your relationship, who's the pitcher and who's the catcher? And I'm like, you know, I don't, and this is how I explain it to them. I'm like, if it's really important for you to know, I'm more than willing to explain that to you. If it will change your opinion about things and make you look at it in a different way, But I would never ask those questions about you and your husband. I would never say, like, does he eat you out, you know, like, when you're laying in bed at night? Like, how far does he put his tongue up you? Like, I would never ask, like, how big is your husband's dick? Those are personal questions. You do not ask somebody that is in a committed relation sexual questions, okay? You do not, that's rude. You wouldn't ask your parents that. It's not okay to ask people in the LGBTQI plus community questions like, who's the pitcher and who's the catcher? But that is this bias that we have had to live with for a very, very long time, the sexualization of our experience, right? And so there's always been this experience. And when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of role models for me. And I was terrified of that. I was terrified of what that looked like. And so when I came out to my mom, I said, I'm bisexual, you know, whatever. And I'll never forget, she said, no, you're not. She laughed and she's like, Peter, you're gay. And she's like, and that's okay. And she said, but I'm afraid for you. And I said, what do you mean, Mom? And I came out in 1990, which was the tail end of the AIDS crisis. And I said, and I remember going to bars and seeing men that literally had Kaposi sarcoma on them. And I mean, they died weeks after I came out, months after I came out. And I can remember saying to my mom, like, you know, I'll be safe, you know, I'll practice safer sex practices. And she knew I was talking about AIDS. And she said, I'm not talking about that. And I think back on this about how forward-thinking, loving, compassionate, and kind my mother was in that moment. When I misinterpreted that what my mom's fear was that I would get AIDS, what she said to me was, if that happens, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. What I'm talking about is that society is not kind to gay people. And what she has proved to me to be true is that that is true of some parts of society. That some parts of society are not kind to gay people. But I have met my fair share of straight allies out there, and I'll be honest with you, it is always the people that I least expect it from that surprise me the most. So I will never stop sharing my story. I will never stop talking about it because it's always the people that I least expect it from. But just to explain my experience for you, the butterflies that you may have had if you were heterosexual in your stomach for somebody in 3rd grade were the same butterflies that I had in my stomach for somebody of the same sex. When I had crushes in high school, they just were somebody of the same sex, but for you, they weren't. So the crushes, the butterflies were all the same. Going on a first date, holding a hand, wondering if we're going to get a first kiss, you know, all that, wanting to look nice for somebody, you know, wanting to do something nice for somebody. I think it's the sexualization of the LGBTQI plus community that makes people scared because people do not understand that, okay? And that is what we show when we show gay couples. We don't show gay couples having family dinner at spaghetti dinner, asking their kids, what did you learn at school today? We don't show that, okay? We don't show first dates of sitting in a movie theater being scared to death like, is he gonna kiss me at the end of the night? We don't show that. But those are some of the magical experiences that I got to experience much later in life because my friends got to experience that when they were supposed to, because they were allowed to express their butterflies in 3rd grade. They were allowed to experience their crushes in high school. I wasn't, because I was scared to death that I was going to get my ass beat. And I would have got my ass beat. So coming out for me was terrifying. So I was forced to live in the shadows. Living in the shadows made me feel shame. Because if you have to live in the shadows from who you truly are, then there is shame associated with that. And that is the shame that I felt. That is the shame that many people feel. And that there is something wrong inherently with who you are just by being alive and just by who you are attracted to and who you love. That there is something evil, disgusting, sinful, and wrong with you about how you identify who you are as a human being on this earth. And for the life of me, I do not understand people that want to spend their lives so consumed with this that on their deathbed, on their dying day, that they will look back on their life and the thing they will be the proudest for is misgendering somebody or keeping two people apart that love each other. If that is how you want to spend your life in that kind of negativity and hate instead of focused on love, then I guess that's what you need to do. But for the life of me, I do not understand it. You know, I really do not understand it at all. So when I see people that blatantly make transphobic remarks, blatantly say things about people in the LGBTQI plus community, my comment always is kind of like, what's your obsession about it? Like, why? I don't really understand, like, I don't spend a lot of time where like I have no interest. If something disgusts me or something is like I'm just not interested in it, I don't spend my life trying to take that down, okay? And the reality is that, you know, it's like, well, that's for another video. But anyway, so I started getting this stuff sent about Jeffree Star in a TikTok. Now, one of the things that Jeffree Star does in his TikToks is he plays music very, very loudly. So you can't show the TikTok clips because if you do, then copyright strikes the music on the channel. So I can't show it to you. But here, I'm going to show it. Well, hold on a second. Let me pull it up right here if I can. Okay, it's pulling up. Hold on. Is this it? Before it didn't make me pull it up on TikTok. Anyway, oh shoot, where is it? It's pulling up on TikTok. But anyway, it's this live stream, and he is basically saying, he's defending people coming for Eugenia Cooney, which apparently, and I can get into this in another video, I didn't look into it at all, but apparently she made some very cryptic message or something like that. I don't know anything about that. So anyway, he is in this TikTok, and he is talking, oh, here it is. And he is talking, here it is. Whoa. Let me pull it up for you. He is talking, it says, Jeffree Star raging over people commenting about Eugenia Cooney, okay? Now, what's interesting about this is that he goes in there and he's talking about he doesn't understand people that are so disgusting that would comment over about Eugenia Cooney, okay? He goes on and on and on. He says all this stuff about how disgusting people are that they're putting Eugenia Cooney down. Then all of a sudden, the way that I understand it, somebody enters the chat at the very end, okay? And during the chat, somebody says something about, I can't see the chat comments, but somebody must have said something like, are you a man or are you a woman? And he says something like, your mother. Now, I have made recent videos talking about the fact that this is a CEO of a makeup company spending any time on TikTok, let alone not doing makeup reviews, but getting ready to film some videos, he said. But he is on a TikTok yelling at people, okay, going off. And so anyway, he's on this TikTok and somebody says, you don't really know what the question is they asked, but he says in there, your mother was a flop. That your mother was a flop, basically insinuating that this person should never have been alive, okay? Well, that's pretty problematic, first of all, because you don't know the person on the other end of the screen. You don't know what their mental state is. You don't know that. But then he goes in and he starts talking about, my name is Jeffree Star. Jeffree, and he spells it, and he says, I am a man. And he goes in and talks about, there are only two genders. I'm not having a science discussion. There are only two genders. Okay, this is not the first time that he has done this, and I am playing it very mildly. If I could play the music for you, you guys could, or if I could play it without the music for you, I'm going to see if I can maybe, hold on just a second. Here he is. He's going on about it right now. I don't know if I can play any part of it with you without the music, but hold on a second.
You're either born a male or you're either born a female, okay? We're not even going to start that subject. Use your common sense, sweetheart, okay?
So what he's saying is you have no common sense if you do not identify as male or female. Okay, I'm not going to get into a discussion today about what people's feelings are about all this. What is interesting to me is that yesterday I did a video about Toddy Westbrook. And one of the common comments on my video was that reason why people, why can't I get out of this? Hold on a second. One of the reasons why people stopped following Toddy Westbrook, which to be honest with you, I don't watch her that closely anymore, so I wasn't even aware of this. But one of the things that they said in there was that in the last couple years, they have noticed, I did know about the Christian thing because after Dramageddon, she started coming out, and that's why I did the no Ouija boards and all kind of stuff, because she was like, which is interesting to me because all of a sudden now she's wanting to do this paranormal podcast, when before she didn't want any psychic readings on her, she didn't want any speculation, she didn't want any tarot card readings, she made that very clear in a video, okay? But now all of a sudden she's thinking about doing this paranormal podcast, because I guess it's maybe popular or something. But anyway, so people were saying in my comment sections yesterday, they stopped following Toddy Westbrook. I should actually go in here and just read some of the comments, okay? I don't want to call people out specifically, but anyway, people were leaving comments and saying they unfollowed Toddy Westbrook because they could see in the last couple years this very Christian right following that was happening to her, and that she was going down this kind of like, you know, alt-Christian right kind of like deal where like that was where her thinking was and they could read it. And they're like, that's not what I showed up for. Like, that's not what I was ever for, right? Okay, what's interesting about that is that when I originally covered Raw Beauty Christie back in the day, and let's be real about this, okay? Beauty Christie originally, the video where I talked about her, I'm not going to get into the whole dissertation with this today. This is not about Christie, but was about her support of James Charles, okay? But more people commented on my videos that they had more of an issue with the fact that Christie, okay, had her son in a t-shirt at a parade on 4th of July that aligned with an organization, okay, that was anti-trans, all right? So Christie's to this day has never come out and addressed it. She has never said how she felt about it. She has never come out and addressed it. But the amount of comments, so we don't really know. I mean, Christie might be like, I love everybody out there that's trans. I love everybody part of the LGBTQI plus community. I love everybody out there. That might be how she feels. She might be afraid to split her audience because if she says that, she might lose some of her followers that don't feel that way. But she might 100% support that. I don't know, right? But listen, I've talked enough about that. But what's interesting to me about it is when I talked about that, so many people were like, well, I stopped following Christie a long time ago. And it was about vaccinations, and it was about the trans issues, and it was about her Christianity, and it was about this whole mindset that Christie was going down this like kind of Christian conservative point of view. What do you think it is? I'm just interested in people that can continue to support Jeffree Star. When Jeffree Star is getting in, okay, let's make this clear right now, okay? The trans community in our country is heavily under attack. You know, it's interesting to me that when like anything happens in our world, I'll get like 5 or 6 DMs from people, and people will say, Peter, why are you not talking about this right now? Like, let's just say, and God forbid, let's just say if somebody tomorrow that was famous, trans, was murdered, somebody be like, Peter, why aren't you posting all over your social media about this right now? I'll tell you why I don't, okay? And it's because I talk about it all the time, okay? I don't just carry my opinions when they're trendy and whatever. I carry my opinions all the time because they are my beliefs, okay? They are my beliefs. I cannot tell you how many times I have said in videos to my trans siblings, we got your back, okay? We are not going to split the LGBTQI plus community. It's not going to be gay men over here. It's not going to be lesbians over here. It's not going to be bisexual people over here and asexual people over here and our trans sisters over here that are being murdered every single day. Trans women of color are one of the highest incidents of murder in our country, okay? We're not splitting this community up. They're not going to do that to us. It was our trans sisters of color that fought for gay men's rights, that we have any rights today. It started with them, okay? So we got our trans siblings' rights and backs today, all right? So the fact that people get upset that I don't say something about this or whatever, go back and watch my videos. I've said that since day one. I've said that since day one, all right? But what I don't understand is, and if that surprises people, whenever I say that, that kind of surprises people. People are like, oh, I didn't know Peter felt that way. Have you watched my videos? I literally came out at 18 years old into family of drag queens, half of which were trans. One of my best friends back in the day was trans. I mean, one of the first people that I met coming out was trans, that I traveled all over with. I mean, it's a different world today than it was then, you know? I mean, today we're discussing things that we weren't discussing back in the day. And, you know, it's scary to me. Like, you know, I talk about my mom. In some ways, I'm grateful that my mom's not alive today. Because my mom, I mean, as somebody that my mother marched for rights, okay? This would break her heart, what we see going on sometimes. And I understand to everybody it's about a viral post or whatever, but if you really care about human beings, if you really love somebody, why the fuck do you really care who somebody else loves? Why does it really matter to you? You're going to spend your whole life worrying about how somebody identifies? I mean, to me, it's baffling. I don't understand that. To me, that is not love. To me, that is not humanity. That is not compassion. I don't understand it. I do not get it. I do not understand it. And the only reason I'm bringing it up in this video today and getting very, very passionate about it is because Jeffree Star is somebody that apparently can do whatever the fuck he wants. Just like James Charles can do whatever the fuck he wants and nobody cares. James Charles can hurt people repeatedly. James Charles is another one that is no role model. I mean, the fact that he gets invited to things like the GLAAD Awards and all these events when he is literally hitting on straight men, okay? I mean, what is the worry in our country about people in the LGBTQI plus community, okay? The worry is that we are recruiting your children and straight people into becoming gay. And yet you have an influencer that literally is hitting on straight men. People wonder why I take an issue with this, okay? The agenda is that LGBTQI plus people are supposedly trying to recruit your children and trying to recruit people, which is absolutely ridiculous, okay? But then you have somebody like James Charles, who is not the norm at all, okay? I don't claim him. He is not part of my community. All right, and he is no role model in my community whatsoever. Hitting on straight men over and over and over again, hitting on minors over and over and over again, taking no accountability for it, and being invited to the GLAAD Awards. What kind of message does that send? We have Jeffree Star, okay, who is transphobic as shit, who has made previous transphobic remarks, and now is in a TikTok making comments, okay, about science and all this kind of stuff, feeding in to all of the fear tactics of how scary trans people are, when trans people just want to live. They are not trying to change anybody. They are just trying to live in their own skin and live their true experience, okay? And Jeffree Star is adding to that, right? And people take issue with Tati Westbrook and Beauty Christie, but they don't have any issue with Jeffree Star and RuPaul's Drag Race queens that are part of the community and have brothers and sisters that are trans in the community feel the need to use this man's makeup. Please miss me with that shit, okay? Please miss me with the shit that as part of the LGBTQI plus community, anybody in our community is putting money into James Charles' pockets or to Jeffree Star's pockets. Please, somebody, explain to me how this makes sense, okay? Nobody out there would fucking buy a biscuit from Chick-fil-A because they donated money, okay, to anti-LGBTQI plus organizations. But we got Jeffree Star on a TikTok talking about the science of trans people and James Charles feeding in to the stereotypes of gay men, and people in the LGBTQI plus community are okay putting money in their pockets. Please explain that to me during Pride Month, okay? Please explain that to me. Somebody out there, all right? Not to mention, what is really surprising to me is that back in the day, and this is where I feel like Jeffree Star does whatever's trendy in the moment, and he thinks this is going to get him a lot of attention because he's talked about pronouns before, he's talked about gender before, and every time he talks about pronouns or he talks about gender, there's a lot of videos that are made about it. And I think that's what it's really about. I don't think he really believes this. When you think about the amount of people that are non-binary or trans that have loved Jeffree Star through the years because he's androgynous, to me, it is baffling, okay, that he would make such a comment. I don't know that I believe it, and I'll tell you why, okay? Because his falling out with me, and I'm not even hiding this anymore, I don't even care, I've said it in past videos. You know, his falling out with Manny MUA was over Manny MUA's brother supposedly dating or something Nikita Dragun. I don't really know the whole story behind it, okay? But Manny wouldn't come out in support of Nikita Dragun, okay? Because of her being trans. Jeffree Star took such a fucking issue with that as a friend of Nikita Dragun's that Manny wouldn't do the right thing to his family and stand on the right side of supporting his trans friend, that was the falling out of Jeffree Star and Manny MUA. So the fact that Jeffree Star all these years later has an anti-trans stance is bizarre to me. The amount of trans people that Jeffree Star has been friends with in the community, in the influencer space alone, is baffling to me. That anybody would stand behind this. If this were any other influencer, okay? Put any other influencer out there. Any other influencer came out there. If Manny MUA got in a TikTok and said this, he would be canceled tomorrow, okay? If anybody said this tomorrow. But apparently, James Charles and Jeffree Star can get away with whatever they want to get away with. I want to read you a comment from somebody that I got this message from to begin with because I thought it was really interesting, and I asked her if I could read her message, and she said yes. She just preferred that I would leave her name out of it, so I will do that. She said, she was looking at Jeffree Star's TikTok, and she said he was going off on people for calling them cruel for their comments on Eugenia Cooney and preaching how everyone should just be kind. Then ends the video invalidating the experience of every transgender person. Ironic, him being a transphobe, considering I'm sure so many trans people genuinely looked up to him back in the day, considering his androgynous appearance. So then I asked her if I could read the message, and she said she didn't mind as long as I didn't use her name or her username. And then she said, luckily as a trans person, I have never looked at him as someone I am inspired by or would want to be like. But I can totally get those who do look up to him and would be really hurt by the shit he says about that. I think it's a really interesting stance, and I'm kind of surprised that more people don't share it. You know, I don't really understand what Jeffree Star is doing right now. I mean, he just posted this picture the other day, too. I think this was yesterday, that bunch of people sent to me, and it's this picture right here, and on it, he says, the face I make when it's not 8 inches or up. I mean, so he's over-sexualizing his Instagram and his TikTok. He's making transphobic remarks. He comes for people all the time and screams and yells on people's TikToks. I feel like Jeffree Star is kind of spiraling out of control. This is what we used to see with Jeffree Star back in the day when he couldn't sell a palette. Well, we know he can't sell a palette now. I'm really wondering, like, is he going so broke? I mean, he said, and I would love proof that he makes $50,000 a day on TikTok. I would like that proof, Jeffree Star, okay? And this is the other thing. I'm not, like, Jeffree Star is somebody that, for a lot of people, you know, it's interesting because I'm going to make the comparison for a second to J.K. Rowling. So, one of the things that I never understood about J.K. Rowling, when J.K. Rowling, the writer of the Harry Potter books, when she came out and started making a lot of transphobic remarks, I think that people, what they kind of missed about that was that J.K. Rowling had invented a world, okay? She built a world around Harry Potter that was very safe for people in the LGBTQI plus community that didn't feel safe in school, that didn't feel safe in their homes, that didn't have any friends, that they could wander into the world of Harry Potter and they could escape and they could find themselves and other characters and they could feel free. So when J.K. Rowling came out and made those comments, she was taking away that safety net from people that found safety in the worlds that she had built. When Jeffree Star, who has been this androgynous role model to so many people, all of a sudden makes these comments, what happens is that a lot of people that looked up to him are confused. They no longer know what to do because the safe place they felt by sitting in front of a mirror and doing a look with his palette no longer feels safe for them. And in the world that we live in right now, safe places are really, really important for whatever you're going through. There's a lot of scary shit that's going on in our world right now. And for us to be able to define our own personal safe spaces is important and it is vital. And so when Jeffree Star makes a comment like this, it's confusing to people of any age, okay? Of all of a sudden it's, well, I don't know where my safe spaces are anymore. And then because Jeffree Star, because let's be honest, okay, a lot of YouTubers, a lot of influencers are safe places for people. People have helped them get through really hard times in their life. And all of a sudden, if Jeffree Star is no longer a safe space for me, then are other places not safe for me? And then people don't feel safe anymore. And when people don't feel safe, people act out. It's not just a transphobic remark, okay? It's a removal of safe spaces. And maybe that's not Jeffree Star's, maybe that is not his responsibility, but it's part of his selling point and it's part of his marketing. So I'm not really sure what he's doing now. But how anybody in the LGBTQI plus community that knows their history and knows what happened to us and knows how that history is being reversed and our rights are being taken away from us, if anybody understands that and knows that and is part of the LGBTQI plus community, is willing to continue to put money in these people that fight against us in our own community, then we don't have a chance at all. So for me, I'm out. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.